In the grand theater of our solar system, we have our celebrities. We have Saturn, the jewel, majestic, golden, and crowned with rings that reflect the light of a distant sun. We have Neptune, the beast, a chaotic world of supersonic winds and dark storms that scream through the void. But between these two giants lies something else. Something that, at first glance, looks deceptively calm. It is a pale, featureless blue marble floating in the eternal void. It has no raging storms visible to your naked eye. It has no golden glow. It is silent. It is cold. And to the casual observer, it is arguably the most boring place in our cosmic neighborhood. But ask any astronomer, and they will tell you a much darker truth. This planet is wrong. Everything about it is broken. This is Uranus, and it is not just a planet. It is a planetary crime scene that has been frozen in time for 4 billion years. It is a world that suggests a violent, bloody history, dragging its magnetic field behind it like a broken limb. Today, we step into the dark to witness the aftermath of the silent catastrophe, the day something murdered Uranus. To understand the horror of Uranus, you have to look at how it stands, or rather, how it fails to stand. If you look at the solar system from above, almost every planet behaves according to the laws of physics. They spin like spinning tops, standing upright as they orbit the sun. But not Uranus. Uranus is tilted at an angle of 98 degrees. It is lying on its side, rolling around the sun like a ball, instead of spinning like a top. Physics demands order. Gravity demands alignment. The only explanation for this cosmic anomaly is violence. Catastrophic violence. Billions of years ago, when the solar system was a chaotic graveyard of forming worlds, Uranus was likely a normal, upright planet. Until something found it. A protoplanet, perhaps twice the size of Earth, emerged from the dark and slammed into Uranus with the force of 1 billion nuclear arsenals. The impact was so devastating that it didn't just crack the crust or strip the atmosphere. It knocked the entire planet over and left it for dead. Uranus didn't just survive an accident. It survived a murder attempt, and the consequences of this ancient violence are terrifying. Imagine being born on the dark side of Uranus. Because the planet rolls on its side, its poles point directly at the sun for half of its 84-year orbit. This creates seasons that are the stuff of nightmares. On Earth, we complain about a long gray winter. On Uranus, a single season lasts 42 Earth years. If you were standing on the North Pole, you would experience 4 decades of constant, unblinking sunlight. No sunset, no relief. Just the cold, distant sun staring at you like a pale eye for half a lifetime. But the other side, the South Pole, is plunged into 42 years of absolute, pitch-black darkness. Imagine a winter that lasts 42 years. You would be born in the dark. You would grow up in the dark. You would learn to walk, to speak, and to love. And you might grow old and die without ever seeing the sun. You would only know the cold stars and the freezing indifference of deep space. When the Voyager 2 spacecraft flew past Uranus in 1986, it sent back images of a smooth, featureless billiard ball. It looked dead, but we were looking with human eyes. When we look with infrared, the dead planet comes alive with horrors. Uranus is an ice giant, but ice is a misleading term. It isn't a solid block of ice like a glacier. It is a swirling fluid mix of water, methane, and ammonia. Deep beneath those deceptively calm cyan clouds, the pressure is so intense that the molecules themselves are crushed. Scientists believe that deep inside Uranus, it rains diamonds. Millions of carats of diamonds falling slowly into a dark liquid ocean that no human eye will ever see. It is a treasure hoard, trapped in a permanent, freezing nightmare. But there is a mystery that haunts this world. Unlike its brother Neptune, which radiates heat from its core, Uranus is strangely cold. It is the coldest planetary atmosphere in the solar system, dropping to a bone-shattering -224 degrees Celsius. It gives off almost no internal heat. Where did its heart go? Some theories suggest that the massive collision, the murder, didn't just knock the planet over. It was so violent that it expelled all of the planet's internal heat into space, leaving behind a frozen zombie core. Uranus isn't just tilted. It is a world that has been hollowed out by trauma. If you could survive the pressure and the cold for just a moment, Uranus would assault your senses in a way no other planet can. The upper atmosphere is rich in hydrogen sulfide. If you could take a single breath before the cold froze you instantly, you would smell the overwhelming, suffocating stench of rotten eggs. It is a toxic, freezing, foul-smelling hellscape disguised as a beautiful blue marble. Even its rings are a warning. While Saturn has glorious reflective rings of ice, the rings of Uranus are dark as charcoal. They are made of dust and boulders that reflect almost no light, like a stealth system hiding in the dark. They are the debris of a broken system, a collection of shattered things. The horror of the catastrophe extends to the moons of Uranus. There are 27 of them, named not after gods, but after the tragic characters of Shakespeare and Pope. There is Titania, Oberon, and Puck, but the strangest of them all is Miranda. Miranda looks like a Frankenstein monster. It looks like a world that was smashed apart by a cosmic hammer and then clumsily glued back together. Huge canyons cross its surface, and mismatched terrains clash against each other in a jumbled mess. The theory is that Miranda was physically shattered by a collision, and its own weak gravity pulled the pieces back together into a broken, mismatched corpse. On this broken moon lies the tallest cliff in the entire solar system, Verona Rupes. Imagine a cliff face that is 20 kilometers high, more than double the height of Mount Everest. Imagine jumping off the top. Because of the low gravity, you wouldn't just fall, you would float. It would take you 12 minutes to hit the bottom. You would have 12 minutes to regret your decision, falling silently through the void, watching the pale blue face of Uranus, staring back at you as you drift toward your end. Even the survival of these moons is not guaranteed. Uranus is a system of chaos that is slowly eating itself. Calculations suggest that millions of years from now, the moons Cupid and Belinda are on a collision course. They will crash into each other, adding more shrapnel to the dark, charcoal rings. Uranus is not a finished world. It is a work of violence that is still unfolding. We have only visited this blue corpse once. In January 1986, Voyager 2 raced past the planet, taking a few precious photos before being flung further into the dark toward Neptune. Since then, for nearly 40 years, no probe has returned. We have sent orbiters to Jupiter and Saturn. We have sent rovers to the rust-colored graveyard of Mars, but Uranus remains alone, rolling through the dark in its strange, sideways orbit. NASA and other agencies are drafting plans to return in the 2040s. They want to drop a probe into that cyan atmosphere to taste the clouds and measure the magnetic chaos. But until that happens, Uranus will keep its secrets. Uranus is a reminder that the universe is not always orderly. It is not a place of perfect spheres and predictable orbits. It is violent. It is unpredictable. And sometimes it leaves behind scars that last for eternity. When we look at this featureless blue marble, we are not looking at a boring planet. We are looking at a beautiful pale blue corpse drifting in the dark. We are looking at a victim of a silent catastrophe that happened before our world was even born. As we look back at our own noisy, living blue marble, we realize how lucky we are. We live in a pocket of peace, but we live in a neighborhood of monsters and victims. Uranus is the mirror that shows us how easily a world can be broken. Stay curious. Keep looking up, because the more we learn about the darkness, the more we realize how precious our little bit of light truly is.